מרדכי, קימרן, יאללה.
אתה קולט שאנחנו הולכים פשוט ב-4-3 בבוקר, אחי? קפה בבוקר אתה בשרי.
תקשיבו איך מתחיל בסוף, היה שינוי של הרגע האחרון.
נו.
מזל שעשינו שיעורי בית. הניגון של נאו, המחרוזת הזאת, השמחה, זה יותר טוב אגב. זה מתחיל, נו. חליל.
עם זה מתחילים?
בסול מינור.
כן. זה הראשון? העוד אישי?
לא, מתחילים סטייל טקסים, אבל את הליין עצמו. תשמע, זה נשמע. עוד פעם בוא נשמע כלים. אני יכול כלי הקשה, זמר רוצה כלי הקשה במוניטור.
תגיד רגע, בקנון, המוניטור, אתה שולח לי רק את הקונדנסר?
מה חסר לכם? מה יש לכם? כל מצוין. אתם מבסוטים כולם?
אני, שוהם, אני נשיפה, אני אשמח לשמוע יותר את בוימל, הזמר, וגיטרה באוזן.
אני גם פרגשן עוד מגיע גיטרה.
גם הברקשן קצת גיטרה, וגם גל קצת גיטרה, אם הוא רוצה.
מה עם איזה צ'ולנט, נו?
יאללה, יוני, לך תיקח.
רגע.
שון, זה כבר לא הגיוני מה שקורה אצלך. זה לא הגיוני, כי השירה יוצאת אליך בווליום מאוד חזק. הפק שלך כנראה מאוד חלש. באיזה מצב הפק שלך?
הפק שלי עכשיו על 4.
נו, 4 זה חלש, בגלל זה אתה לא שומע.
אוקיי.
לשאלה שלי, מה אתה אומר?
קנון, יש לך את שניהם, תבדוק אותך, תבדוק מה אתה רוצה לדבר.
אני חסר לי נמוכים, כאילו. חשבתי שבגלל קונדנסר שיותר למעלה.
אתה לא מדבר עם שוהם, זה גל עכשיו מדבר איתך.
לא, בסדר, אני אגע
אחלה.
איתך.
בסדר.
אז זה יותר טוב לך?
כן. אבל גם יש תוריד קצת.
מה?
בסדר.
לא, מה איתך?
אני בסדר גמור.
יאללה. אתה בסדר קנון?
We had to wait for opportunity. We found the opportunity in the time of slichut.
איזה מיקרופון יש אצל הפאנל? איזה מיקרופון יש אצל הפאנל? אצל מי המיקרופונים? בן, איזה מיקרופונים יש אצל?
אותם מיקרופונים פעם קודמת.
4?
אפשר להשתמש
4
בזה?
מיקרופונים?
או ב...
יושבים פה גם?
אבל אני מעדיף אלחוטי.
אוקיי, אז רק 3 ו4.
זה פתוח? רק תנו לנו איזה אות.
אוקיי. מתחילים בהקלטה ובצילום, נכון חבר'ה? תודה רבה. יאללה. פעמיים? ערב טוב, בשעה טובה ומוצלחת. תראו את הסוודר. רגע, אבל... Laila Tov, good evening to everybody. We're so happy to be with you here from Ma'arat HaMachpelah, from Hebron Ir HaKodesh. Ta-da-da, da-da-da,
Okay. Guten Erev Shabbat Chayei Sarah from downtown Hebron, from Sdei HaMachpelah. Welcome everybody to what is the first, and you know what, hopefully the last time that we're going to have to try and give the Jewish people the remote feeling of being connected to Hebron rather than actually being here. Good night, good morning, Rabbi Yossi.
Good morning, Rabbi Danny. It's great to be here.
So now, listen, I have to share with you, with everybody that, as somebody that has been part of Shabbat Chayei Sarah for, I think, almost since it started, and definitely since we're here on Shlichut, is that, I must say that driving around Hebron the past few days has not been easy. We're usually, the people living here and working here, we're used to that this is the week that Hebron gets its the appreciation that sometimes it's so much lacks, the appreciation that it deserves. This is the week where we see thousands and thousands of people swarming the streets of Hebron, seeing all the tents being erected, the mass tents and things that we'll discuss about tonight, and suddenly to see everything is empty was not, it's not easy. And very, very easy to become depressed, but we know that our job as the Rebbe's Shluchim is to introduce people that we meet to the real reality, that it's more than meets the eye, and definitely that's about any place in the world, especially about a place like Hebron, to take off the mask and to be able to connect every Jew to the real Hebron experience. And, and instead of looking and, instead of getting depressed from the situation, we understood that this is an opportunity. That if every year we're very, very, obviously touched and proud that there's tens of thousands, 30,000, 40,000 Jews that participate in this Shabbat, now we have the opportunity to even double that by trying to give this energy and feeling of Shabbat Chayei Sarah to maybe way more masses of people that would have actually come here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think many Jews will connect with Chayei Sarah this year from the living room. How many years, Rabbi Danny, are you Shaliach in Hebron here?
I don't know. I never thought that it's going to take such a short time to feel this, but 18 years, Baruch Hashem.
Wow, Chai.
And I must say that there's not been one day since we started that was like the other. Hebron is really one of the most exciting places, inspiring places. And tonight we're going to try, our challenge is to try and give that feeling of what we feel actually here to, like you said, people sitting in their living room. I think that we prepared a pretty good, pretty inspiring program. We definitely have the opportunity. I'm asking people at home, shut off your phone for a few minutes or an hour or two. Try and connect to the energy of our fathers and mothers from this Sdei HaMachpelah. And let's start. I want to first let's understand a little bit where we are. What is this place, Sdei HaMachpelah? And we chose I think the person that's the most appropriate. Baruch Hashem, in the staff of Chabad Hebron, we have 6 different shluchim. One of them that a lot of people back home got to know is Rabbi Mordechai Hellinger, that over the years had the opportunity. His job is to be the Minister of Tourism of Chabad Hebron and to introduce the city to so many different kinds of people. He for the past half a year he kind of was a little bit of unemployed. So tonight we're giving the opportunity to Kadima Mordechai. Give us a few words about this place.
Welcome. come and join me on a journey. We're going to go back some 3,700 years to the times of our father, Abraham. Abraham lived in this area. He knows the ins and outs. And our sages tell us that with divine intuition, Avram knew that in the outskirts of Hebron there's a field. And in this field there was a cave that's the entrance to the Garden of Eden. Avram's wife Sarah passes away, and as the Torah tells us in this week's Torah portion, she passes away in Kiryat Arba, Hebron. Avram afterwards comes to the city, and he meets the elders at the gates of the city, and he tells them, guys, my beloved wife passed away. And they say, whatever you want will help you. So he says, please call over Ephron, because Ephron has a field. And at the edge of the field there's a cave that I would like to purchase to bury her in the cave. Ephron comes over and says, Abraham, you can have it for free. Avram says, no, I want to pay full cash. And our sages tell us the reason why Avram did that is that he knew there are going to be in future generations people who will say that it doesn't belong to his children. So Avram pays the full price of 400 silver shekels, over 40 years' salary of your average person at that time period. After purchasing the field, Avram buries his wife. Afterwards, he gets buried there. Isaac with his wife, Rebecca, get buried here. And then after that, Yaakov, Jacob with his wife Leah are buried here as well. As you can see, there's this enormous structure that was built on top of our cave. This building was constructed by King Herod. Yeah, that same king who built the Kotel. I'm sure you may even recognize the large stones, that very similar style. But what's unique about this building is that this building is intact in its entirety for over 2,000 years. After King Herod, the Second Temple was destroyed. The land of Israel was no longer in the hands of the Jews. Various different nations come through here. Each one adds their little addition, something to the building to make it more connected to them. But Jews continue to come to this holy special place. In the year 1267, the Mamluks who ruled the land of Israel at the time make it illegal for Jews to enter the building. And for 700 years, we Jews are limited from visiting our own mothers and fathers. We are stopped outside the building, but even then, Jews continue to come throughout the hundreds of years leading up to 1967. And in 1967, the Six-Day War, miraculously, this and many other parts of our Holy Land are liberated, and once again, we Jews can come and visit our own mothers and fathers.
Ohoy v'davi geula Oy livnei v'nei Oy v'davi geula Oy livnei Oy v'nei Ohoy v'davi geula Oy livnei v'nei V'davi geula Livnei v'nei Nigirararayvarada Bigla avodo Shiabanim Oy bigla avodo Shiabanim Bigla avodo Shiabanim Oy 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 v'davi Oy vedavi geuna oy livnei
Chaim Vrocha.
L'chaim, l'chaim. So, Rabbi Danny, I wanted to ask you, 18 years in Hebron, Baruch Hashem. We are now also in the midst of Kinus HaShluchim.
Yeah.
Kinus HaShluchim of the international Kinus HaShluchim of the whole world. You are the Rebbe's Shliach, head Shliach in Hebron with several other Shluchim. We know that every place in the world, the Shlichus, the Shlichus is obviously the same everywhere, right? We're all Shluchim of the Rebbe. We're all here to bring Mashiach. And yet, in every place, there's a little bit of a different emphasis. So I want you to share with us a few words about what's unique about the Shlichut here in Hebron.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what's not unique about the Shlichut here in Hebron. But yes, we're at this time that we're sitting here, thousands of shluchim around the world are connecting virtually for the kinus, and we're, every year, as much as we're so inspired and excited about Shabbat Hebron, we always have that, it's going on in New York, and we kind of miss it. We get there a little bit late to the convention. But to answer your question, I think that the job of every emissary of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, every shliach, is to introduce, to make the ways and the teachings of our fathers and mothers, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, and Rachel, to make them relevant to every Jew in 2020 and 5781. And, being able to do so, in Avram and Sarah's backyard is really the most unique thing. And the fact that our community really is obviously every single Jew that comes to Hebron to try to give them that special experience. But as many people know, our community wears green. Our work is focused on the brave soldiers serving in Hebron, trying to make sure that the experience that they have here is not only a military one, but one, as the Rebbe teaches, from the word Hebron, that comes from the word chibur in Hebrew, that's a connection, and to bring out really probably, if there's one line, I'd say that from the Rebbe that I repeated, I don't know, tens of thousands of times over the almost last 2 decades, is the fact that, we anywhere you go to Chabad around the world, it's like a franchise, right? You'll hear at the end of the day the same messages, and the message of unity, and to try and that every Jew should understand how we are all connected to each other. And the Rebbe says that Hebron, despite the fact that many times on the outside it'll seem as a place of conflict, it really is the place that emphasizes the most the unity and the connection between every single Jew. Because we could talk about how we're all the same, we're all brothers, we're all sisters, but we're very, very different. What is the one thing that we all have in common? We all share the same fathers and mothers. And to try and bring that teaching to every single Jew, and that he should understand that this is connecting to that message is the path to redemption, to Geula, to Mashiach. That's, I'd say.
Wow, that's fascinating. I think that one other additional thing about Hebron, that we're talking about Hebron for every Jew, because obviously we're all children of Abraham and Sarah and so forth. But for us, the Chabad community, we also have something really special going on in this town, and that is that we know, although there are many other special places in this Holy Land, I come personally from Tzfat, which is also a major city and a major Chabad city, but at the same time, here we know that the Rebbes put a special emphasis about actually purchasing real estate.
Right.
But
Not just the spirituality, but
right,
turning this
Gashmias,
place beautiful, okay?
like buying land here, property, and as is obviously the story of Parashat Shavua, where Avraham Avinu is buying the cave, right? But not only that, not only were they busy buying property here, but they also did it at a time that actually there was no money. It didn't come from extra money that was lying around and they were looking to do something with it. On the contrary, there was no budget. The situation was not so good. And yet, they, Moiser Nefesh, they really did the utmost they could. Right. Some of the rabbis to buy land here. And so coming here, as somebody who's connected to Chabad, as a shliach, as a Lubavitcher, this is a special connection that we all have here, and there's nothing like it in the world. So,
listen, as we mentioned, we're going to have a short journey tonight or this morning through the different trying to taste or give over a taste of different aspects of Hebron. And the next person we're going to meet is somebody special. Would you like to tell us a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the next, our next guest is a very special Jew. His name is Noam Arnon, and he's of the Hebron community. He's doing an excellent job. In addition to that, I don't know if maybe some people don't know, that he's an expert, like really a world-renowned expert on the history of the Me'ara, of the cave, which is obviously an ancient site, and also of the whole area, really all the excavations and all the research that was done here, and there's a lot that was done. So let's hear from Noam Arnon a few words.
So many Jews all over the world feel somehow connected of the Zchut Avot, the merit of the fathers. When you say Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, and you feel you are here in their place, well, it's different from any other place in the world. 700 years from 1267 to 1967, Jews could stand only outside near the seventh step. We could not even dream about being there. I remember as a child, before the 60 War, thinking about it, dreaming about it, but never really imagining that someday I'll be there. This structure was built in the Second Temple period, some 2,000 and more years ago, by King named Herod. He built many huge buildings all over Judea, and Chazal, our sages said, מי שלא ראה בניין הורדוס, לא ראה בניין מימיו. Who hasn't seen the Horus temple didn't see a beautiful temple in his life. According to the Kabbalah, the Midrashim, the Gemara, the Zohar, the place is entrance of Gan Eden. And the Midrash say that Adam and Eve are buried there. And then legends say that whoever gets into the cave will never get out alive because he's in Gan Eden, he cannot return. So it became more and more mysterious. Now, in the building, in the place that unfortunately today is not accessible for Jews, in Ulam Yitzchak, there is a sort of an opening in the floor that legends say that it leads to the real cave. Again, what is this place? Is it real, the entrance of the cave? In 1960, Moshe's friend, and that friend has a young daughter named Michal. This girl was very thin, so they thought they can send her through the hall. They tied this girl with the rope and lowered her into the chimney that leads into the cave, hoping that she would return out alive, because so many people, according to stories, did not return. What the girl found was a dark and long tunnel beneath Yitzhak Hall, and then she said she saw some steps. She began to climb the step, and there was a big stone that blockaded this tunnel. She could not get out from that place. What she did, she knocked on that stone, and she got some answer of knocking from the other side of the stone. So it became more and more mysterious. Thank God this girl got out alive. And then a few of our friends, we understood, if we find a place of that stone and open it, we can get into the tunnel, and from the tunnel, we can try to find the cave. But this, the whole place is located in Ulam Yitzchak. The Muslims used it as a mosque, and we cannot just come and begin to dig, because the Muslim, you know, would not look very nicely about some Jewish boys doing it. So we had to wait for opportunity. We found the opportunity in the time of Slichot. This is the location of the actual entrance to the cave. Right here, there is an opening in the floor. Today, now you see it's covered, so you cannot see it, some carpets, but this is the place. We came to the Slichot with special tools you need for a good Slichot, like some hammers, some chisels, flashlights, ropes, cameras. I had at the time a camera that was quite a good camera for those days, a Pentax. When the people around say the Slichot, we chiseled the stone and we saw a dark opening leading to the other world. We began to get down into that hall through steps leading to the space beneath, a dark and long tunnel, and then there was a sort of a cistern underground, and then somebody felt from the floor of that cistern, you can feel some wind coming out. It means that there is even a deeper level. Okay, this was a great experience to understand. Yes, there is a deeper level. Let's do it. Let's find it. We took the tools we had, took some stones out, and then we saw a cave. We began to crawl. You cannot stand. You have to crawl into the cave, and then the cave somehow ended in a corridor, and that corridor, again, chiseled, led to a second cave. Okay, so crawling there to the second cave, we understood this is a double cave. This is a Marat Machpelah, which is in Hebrew, a double cave. Now, the deeper level of the cave is covered, supposedly in the time of the kingdom of Judea, they brought sand, put it in to cover the deeper level of the cave, and we crawled to the second cave, and then again, you cannot stand, you have to crawl. And then I could feel something strange around me. Looking with the flashlight, I understood I'm crawling amongst human bones. Okay, now, what's going to happen? I don't know. Are we going to become bones, or we're going to join those poor people around me that somehow actually entered and penetrated into this place and never got out alive? We said some Tehillim. Then I saw that we are still alive, crawling to the deeper part of the cave, and then we found pieces of ancient pottery, some vessels. They were belonging to the kingdom of Judea period. What's it called in archaeology? The Iron Age, for us, time of first temple. Not second. Second is the building, but first temple, 1,000 years earlier. These vessels are hidden there for us, from the time of the Bible, from the biblical period, for us to find them, to discover them, and to understand Jews in the kingdom of Judea. We're here inside. Really, till now, I remember it as it was yesterday. We didn't feel the time moving. For us, it was like a few minutes, but actually quite a few hours went through, and somehow the time has no meaning there. But then, people that waiting outside and saying the slichot told us in a walkie-talkie that we had, friends, you have to get out. Sunrise is near, you have to get out. And we said the slichot not once, but twice, to let you have your research, but now you get out. The whole Jewish people is standing on Zchut Avot 3 times a day, mentioning Birkat Avot, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב. The name Hebron means chibur, means connection. חיבור לאבות ולאימהות, חיבור לעצמנו, to us, to ourselves, to our heritage, to our identity, to our soul, to our very ancient sources, and having Birkat Avot, blessing of our fathers. And from here, in Hebron, Eve of Chayei Sarah, we send our brachot, we send Birkat Avot to all those who look now and feel connected by their feelings, by their emotions, by their spirit to this place, and wish Birkat Be'ezrat Hashem Zchut Avot to everybody.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Mordechai. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Hey, Mordechai.
You know, one of the most special things coming here to Shabbat Chayei Sarah during the years, had the
you've been with
zchut.
us a lot.
Yeah, I had the zchut to be here many, many times. And one of the things that's the most striking to me is the desire of people to actually be here and what they're willing to do for it. Because you come to this little
Like
town.
mitzvah deoraita.
Yeah, mamish.
Torah.
It's like people would do anything to be here for Shabbat, and you come, and the place is full of tents and caravans, and people are willing to eat differently, sleep differently, have a completely different Shabbos, just to be here, right? And then when you come here, and you feel how much people want to be here, it has a big impact. One time I was here a couple of years ago for Shabbat. Sometimes it's also raining here already, you know. It rained this week, so this is a rain season in Israel. I was here for Shabbat. I was sitting with a friend of mine from Jerusalem. One of those people who like to, dress very clean, trim, neat. Yeah, exactly. And at the end of Shabbos, it was only like when we finished Shabbos, I asked him, by the way, where were you staying? And he said, I was staying in a tent. I was like, you in a tent? He said, yeah, come, let me show you where I was staying. And I walked with him over to the spot where he was. And he was there with his entire family. There were like 6 or 7 people in this tent. And I remember, I was lucky to have a little roof over my head that night. Thank you, Rabbi Danny. But he came with a tent, and it just to see that desire. So I want to say about the desire to be here, because right now so many people want to be here and are not here. I heard once from the Rebbe an amazing idea. The Rebbe said, when he spoke about Russian Jewry, and he said sometimes a Jew wants to do a mitzvah like he's in Russia back in the day, and he can't do it. So a Jew who is in a free country, in the United States, in Eretz HaKodesh, you do a mitzvah for somebody who can't do it, there's actually a huge value for it. So I feel on this Shabbos, we're holding a big, huge desire for everybody. We're thinking about you. We're going to say l'chaim, even though we're going to be a very small group. But
we'll drink for everybody.
What? So, Rabbi Dani, Shabbos Chayei Sarah, what is it all about?
So I'll tell you, just for me personally, my first Shabbat Chayei Sarah experience, I was a soldier in Givati, 1994. We were actually supposed to stay on base that Shabbat. Somehow, I found a way to get out. Later on, I got into trouble for actually coming to Hebron. But you know what? A few years ago, it kind of dawned on me. How do I explain this experience? I don't know if you remember, like maybe a decade and a half ago, it was the first time you took me to our friend Binyamin up there in the winery in the hills of Santa Cruz.
Right.
And I remember as we're going up the windy forest, you told me, listen, they say the people that, how do you say, the people that understand in wine, the connoisseurs, they say that, if you drink a good wine anywhere, it's great. But if you drink that wine on the actual grounds of the vineyard where this wine, the grapes are grown, then the experience is
estate wine.
It's beyond estate wine. So people come here and they feel that estate wine. It's one thing to read Parashat Chayei Sarah anywhere around the world and relive that connection that Avraham Avinu established between the land of Israel, the people in Israel, but to drink it, to experience that at the winery where it happened is something totally different. And
sorry to interrupt you, but a few years ago I came for Shabbat, Shabbos Chayei Sarah, and I went to daven mincha. And it was like 2-3 hours before Shabbat. It was a big minyan. Somebody goes to daven, I could tell he's a guest. And when Chazarat Hashatz, the repetition of the Amidah, he goes, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Elokei Avraham! And he gave such a shout when he said it, and it was so from the heart. And this is how I felt that moment. That shout, Elokei Avraham, the way you shout, you could shout it anywhere in the world, right? But the way you shout it here, nothing like it.
So, you know what, I'd like to try and give over something to the people watching us, the people that will be seeing this. Later on, there'll be a link and everybody could watch this after the live broadcast. But, You know, I'll just, in short, because this story could be told for half an hour, I'll just give it in a nutshell. But, 4 years ago, we were planning, this was maybe 3 weeks before Shabbat Chayei Sarah, we're planning to do our regular programming. We would have, you remember, we would have like 120 people on our porch. Batsheva's cooking for all of them and different programs. And I get a phone call from a friend of mine, a shaliach somewhere, and he tells me, listen, I have somebody that wants to do something beyond what was ever in Hebron. He wants to make sure that people that come, the mothers of Am Yisrael, every Jewish mother, they see their children come to visit. What's their first question? No, did you eat something? So we want to make sure that they're fed. And so he said, put together a proposal and send it to me. I thought, okay, great, let's make a proposal that every guy that comes here will have a great kiddush. So a potato kugel, cholent, something. And I sent in the proposal. I was a little hesitant. I don't know, it was like $50,000, $60,000. And he gets back, he said, no, I didn't mean that. I'm talking about meals. I said, Matt, a buffet, we'll bring schnitzel, cholent, anybody? No, I want meals with tables and chandeliers and
China.
And this evolved into what Baruch Hashem, we're going to skip this year, even though we have maybe 12 hours. Our producer, Ashi, is here. Maybe you could pull that off. But for the 3 years that if we would have went through the headache of bringing the representatives of the World Book of Records, we would definitely break a record of having the largest Shabbos meal in the world, of the people in the same vicinity, 5,000 people in a beautiful tent. So I'd like to, let's try and connect to that, everybody to try and close their eyes just for a moment and then open them and, see how it looks on a regular Erev Shabbat in the past years in Hebron, Erev Shabbat Chayei Sarah. So, Guten Erev Shabbos from downtown Hebron. I am very thrilled to present for the third year in a row the largest Shabbos Suda in the world, Shabbos Chayei Sarah 2019.
Here in Hebron, Kodesh for Shabbat Chayei Sarah.
I've never been here before, and it's the Shabbat Chayei Sarah.
אני כל כך שמח ומודה לבורא עולם, משתבח שמו בורא עולם, שזכיתי לבוא לחיי שרה. חברון שלי, חברון של עם יהודי, חברון עיר הקודש, ניתנה לי עם הקדוש, ויש הקודש ברוך הוא. חברון, קרוב קרוב הנצחון, יבוא יבוא משיח, ונגדול עם האבות. חברון, קרוב קרוב הנצחון, יבוא יבוא משיח, ונגדול עם האבות. חברון שלי, חברון של עם יהודי, חברון עיר הקודש, נבנה לי עם הקדוש, ויש הקודש ברוך הוא. חברון שלי, חברון של עם יהודי, חברון עיר הקודש, נבנה לי עם הקדוש, ויש הקודש ברוך הוא.
Tov, l'chaim, l'chaim. Well, it means if we're representing everybody, we have to drink for everybody as well.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Okay, so, I just want to share. I remembered something very, very special. Everybody, I hope everybody was able to get a little bit of the energy of Shabbat Chayei Sarah from the scenes that we all just saw. So I want to tell you, the first year that we had this amazing operation of an anonymous donor, a very, very dear friend and partner, became over the years. So, obviously, like I said, we got very short notice, 3 weeks before the event, and we have to pull off this mass, mega, it's one thing to do such a thing in New York City, which is also quite a production. To do that in downtown Hebron is unbelievable. So, I'm telling you, maybe an hour before sunset, 40 minutes before candle lighting on this Erev Shabbat 4 years ago, I get a call from my neighbor. My neighbor is Dr. Gershon Bar Kochva, which is also, he's one of the leading experts on the history and everything of Me'arat HaMachpelah and Hebron. And he says, Danny, listen, I know that you're very, very busy. I said, yeah, you can imagine. And I want to hang up. He said, listen, I know you're very, very busy, but do yourself a favor. Open up. I just sent you an email. I sent you a research that was done towards a doctorate. And then oh my God. He said, yeah, I know you don't have time. Go to page 154. I highlighted there. You'll discover something amazing. Okay, I said, all right, I have already 37 minutes to count down. I go into this file that he sends me. And I discover it's a whole research that was done by a professor in the Universitat Bar-Ilan, and basically this research proves that the only place that is logical to say, everybody knows the story of the tent of Avraham Avinu that had 4 openings, right? Oil Avraham Avinu, where he introduced the concept of Achnasat Orchim to the world. That it was right across Me'arat HaMachpelah, right? The same place where the angels come to tell him and Sarah, last parasha, that they're going to have Yitzchak. And this research says that basically the only place that they could say that this is where it was is exactly the spot that everybody saw where we have that tent and what is all year round the mass parking lot of Me'arat HaMachpelah is right there. So that is something that, just makes it so real when it says about what the teaching of the Alter Rebbe of living with the times, that the Torah portion isn't just a story from 1,000 years ago. It's something that makes it relevant to us so much in Hebron.
Wow. Chaim for that.
No.
Chaim.
Mordechai, take it away. Chaim, Vroche. You know what my favorite nigun is, right? What all the Shluchim are now singing in all over the world, connecting.
L'chaim, Danny, before I go back to play with my beautiful band, I just want to say to all the Chevre, באמריקה, בכל מקום, זכיתי, I had the privilege to know Danny a lot of years back. Also, our parents are friends from the States. I just want to מברך דני, וכל אשר יעשה יצליח. בעזרת השם, ופרצת ימה וקדמה, you do such a lot of good things, and you do it with חיוך ושמחה, that's the main חשיבס. And just, אני תמיד נזכר במשפט האחרון של הרבי, אצלנו בקהילה, the last משפט of the רבי, ברוב שירה וזמרה. That's the last משפט. אז לחיים מברוך.
חיים. בהחלט.
from where you are in the whole world. Aha, oh, ay, 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 da, 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 ay, da, 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 Shabbos Kodesh, ay, da, 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 ay, 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 aha, oh, da, 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 da. Hey, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, ay ay ay, da da da, ay ay ay, da 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 da, ay ay ay, da 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 da
Chaim, l'chaim, tov v'shluchim. Chaim, l'chaim.
Beautiful, beautiful. Toda rabba. You know, besides Shabbat Chayei Sarah and this mega event to prepare every year, with Chabad Hebron, we have another special annual date that is a big celebration. And I'm sure many of the people watching us have taken part in this, is the Hakafot Shniot, the second Hakafot, that while it's the second night of Yom Tov in all over the world, Ken Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galuyot, the Rebbe strengthened the ancient custom of uniting the people living in the land of Israel and the people in the Jews in diaspora by strengthening that custom of having a second celebration. And this is something that we started out, and we came to Hebron 18 years ago. This was initiated Israel abroad, let's say 19. Anyway, for the past 17 years, it started out with 10 people and mamish a tape recorder on the bima with Rabbi Moshe Levinger alav shalom. And every year it grows and grows. Last year we have here like 5,000 people. And Rabbi Asi, maybe share with us where does this come from? What's the inspiration for this?
Right. So one of the mega stories of Hebron is in the year Tafshin Lamed Zayin, 76.
Okay.
Maybe it was the end of 76. There were some issues in Hebron with our neighbors here. There was actually serious issues. The cave was desecrated,
Yom Kippur.
and then Yom Kippur, and there were some really ugly things done in the cave. And as a response to that, the Rebbe in New York, the Rebbe took it very, very seriously when the news came of what happened in the Me'arat HaMachpelah. And the Rebbe, throughout the whole month of Tishrei, Erev Sukkot and then Akofis, the Rebbe spoke about Hebron very strongly. He spoke about it in Torah. There's actually sichos that the Rebbe said about the ownership of the Jews of Hebron, the ownership of the Levites, Hebron, the city of the Levites. And then the special thing that happened is that during Akafot by the Rebbe in New York, the Rebbe called a special Akafa for Hebron, and he asked people to join the Akafa, all the Levim to join the Akafa.
And he said that according to the Baal Shem Tov, wherever a person's ratzon, his will is, and he actually transformed the crowd to feel that they were in Hebron.
Exactly, just like we said before. They could be home and be in Hebron. If your desire is to be there, this is what the Rebbe said, that's in Torah. Since we want to be in Hebron, we are in Hebron. And the Rebbe did a special akafa for Hebron. But then, the Rebbe did something unusual, was never done before or after. He appointed all the Chabad Chassidim that came to New York for that Tishrei, when they come back to Eretz Israel, when they return to Israel, they gave them a special shlichus to actually do another set of hakafos in Eretz Yisrael. First in Yerushalayim, then in Hebron, and then back in Yerushalayim. Something like that. Or maybe first in Hebron, then in Yerushalayim. It was a whole shlichus. And yeah, it was 2 weeks later. It was the first time that the cave was open again. And maybe it was open earlier because the Rebbe wanted it, or whatever, something like that. But it was Dalet Cheshvan. It was 2 weeks after Simchas Torah, and people came here, and they opened the cave, and they did the whole hakafos again.
They did Simchat Torah 2 weeks later.
Right, they did Simchas Torah in the middle of Cheshvan, or in the beginning of Cheshvan, right here. And that actually gives the inspiration that every year when hakafos is happening here, on Motzei Simchas Torah, there's always a sense of that shlichus from the Rebbe, that ongoing idea of doing hakafos in Hebron. There's some power in it. When you come here for that event, right? You feel, you sense how many.
Yeah, everybody says this is the closest you could get to 770.
Right, there's something in the air.
Because the Rebbe put a big emphasis saying that by dancing and rejoicing here in Hebron, it's as if it's the happiest demonstration. You know, usually demonstrations are angry. But this is a happy demonstration just to the world that Hebron is ours, Eretz Yisrael is ours, forever and ever.
Right, and that's why every time coming here, like I said before, in addition to all the amazing things about Hebron, the Rebbe's connection to this place and how much the Rebbe wants us to be besimcha, is always highlighted when we come here. You feel like a double connection of Hebron as a Yid, and then as somebody who connects to the Rebbe. And then, just to add to the story, the cherry, right, the best part of it all was that when the Rebbe heard the news from Israel that actually that shlichus that he gave to do the hakafot in Yerushalayim,
on the 4th of Cheshvan.
Right, on Dalet Cheshvan, which is basically a regular Wednesday, as they say, when the Rebbe received the news that the shlichus is being done in Jerusalem and in Hebron, the Rebbe is happy to receive the news, and he decided to have a Farbrengen in New York.
Uncalled for.
Uncalled Farbrengen in honor of fulfilling the shlichut of dancing in Hebron and Yerushalayim as the Rebbe wanted. And of course, in that Farbrengen, which we're going to see in a few seconds, a little clip from it, in that Farbrengen, obviously, Farbrengen that was in honor of Hebron, the Rebbe spoke very, very strongly about Hebron. There was Dalet Cheshvan, Tafshin Lamed Zayin. So we have, I think we have a little clip from that. Do we?
Der Klolle sind a Farbrengen a Svardos, was lecher is und das Adover Chodosh, is aber da etliche Unionen, für was man diese Klim einzigen Tag onnebendig von den Linien Ikri, als Heimplatten mit Malle gewähnt die Schnichis, also als Herrscher von der Hakofis, in der Dalle Dames vom Reben dem Schwer, sollen gehen mit denselben Liegen und mit denselben Wörtern und nicht mit der Seperter in Hebron. Danach beim Kesel Marovi und bis a Knesset, bis a Medes Semach Zedek, wie lebt die Idee von dort und es kann auch sein, dass wir dort noch Mamschich in den Verbringen. Hebron und Yerushalayim und ganz Eretz Yisrael gegeben geworden in Abris Selam, zu Amelam durch Tera Selam, von der Lekeho Elam und Hebron hat gehört zu Bnei Levike mit Duber Legil Baruch. Und ich das mache, ist Golele in Kehl, und mir verbindet was mit der Nigen, mit der Marschall, mit Soche.
רב לוינגר דורש את שלומו של הרבי, כל הקהילה בחברון. לפני שבועיים קיבלנו אישור מראש הממשלה שנוכל לבנות את בית שנירסון ואת בית אומנו. חיכינו 6 שנים לאישור הזה. רצינו להגיש חוזה מערת המכפלה. זה של צייר בחברון. זה קניין אברהם אבינו של מערת המכפלה.
הוא יתפס את צילום, להשאיר אצלי.
אני רציתי להשאיר, כן? רציתי להשאיר את התמונה עצמה. אני תמיד רוצים לבקש ברכה, לדינר, שנוכל לגייס משאבים לבנות את חברון.
הצלחה בחוץ לארץ, ובשביל בארץ הקדם. ובשביל הצלחה בעיר האבות.
אמן.
ובשביל הרב לוינגר. שהיה מתקי בעניינו, והשם והקודש ברוך הוא יצליחם, ובפרט בעיר המכפלה שכוסף בשרים, שכל התפילות אלו למעלה דרך חברון.
אלו הצ'ירמנים שלנו, שפה עובדים בארצות הברית.
אז הייתה בשלהם שכל התפילות שלו ושלי ושלהם יהיו לכם דרך חברון למעלה.
אמן.
In sind wir gewesen in der Yeshiva dort, wie in Beit Romano, in auch wie Beit Schneerson. Du 120 Kinder, wir lernen noch, because nicht du kannst Stores, wie sie gar nicht gut ist. Wir lernen die ganze Zeit.
Er war in die Jugend vergeben. Es ist das dazu nicht nach mir, weil die was haben das stört.
Ja, Harawahat nachher.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
We are back in the live broadcast right here from Me'arat HaMachpelah, and I'm here with Rabbi Mordechai Hellinger. We heard before about the activities with the soldiers, and I know you've been here many years, since you are a young yeshiva bacher. So tell us a little bit about what's going on here with the soldiers in Hebron.
Okay, so the soldiers, for those who haven't been in Hebron, there's soldiers spread out throughout the city. Every few feet, there's more soldiers, less soldiers, but there's soldiers throughout the city. And these soldiers are here. These guys are young, 18, 19, 20, 21. The older ones are 22. And they're here. Many of them never had any type of interaction in any way, shape, or form with authentic Judaism, with somebody who looks like me. And we really get all types of Jews from around Israel and around the world that come here. And we're there for them. So it's 24/7, literally.
How long are the soldiers here for when they come?
So soldiers, it's interesting because we have 2 different ways. There are soldiers that come here for a rotation, which is between 3 to 8 months. And then there's soldiers that come here for just a weekend. Oh, wow. And we try to touch the hearts of every one of them, whether they're here for a long time or a short time. And so obviously the spiritual needs and the physical needs, one of the icons of our work with the soldiers here has become Ratz Chabad, which is translated as a Chabad runner. I'm sure many people who understand the army, or at least the way the army used to be back in the day, there was a runner who used to pass between the soldiers, pass messages, whatever needs to be done. So here we have a Chabad runner. That name was actually given by one of the commanders here in the region quite a number of years ago. And, I myself did it. I was fortunate enough. So I would start my day/night at about 10 p.m. with a thermos full of coffee, a backpack full of cookies at the first soldier post. Well, everybody can't see, but there's a soldier's post right there.
Because they basically stand in
they
those
standing
posts
there
for hours, right?
4 to 8 hours straight, many times by themselves. And you give them a cup of coffee, a hot cup of coffee, and you start talking God, purpose, meaning Judaism, problems at home, or anything else under the moon, shall I say. And once you finish with the first guy, you move on to the next, and the next, and the next, and there's soldier posts throughout the city. And by the time you get to the last soldier at the top of the mountain, the first soldier already switched out, so you go down the hill and do the round again, and again, and again, till about 10 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to daven and catch a quick nap, but there's not much time, because there's tefillin, Torah classes, pizza parties, barbecues, all the good stuff for me.
So here, for those who are not here, Hebron is very unique that the soldiers are within the residential area. This is the only place in Israel that soldiers actually have interactions like this with citizens, right? How does it translate into the work? Like, it's a unique situation over here, right?
So yeah, there are the challenges here in the city of Hebron due to the interesting, shall I say, political situation and the security situation. So we have soldiers spread out throughout the city, and they're here, and we try to do the best to make their service easy, because unlike other places where there's a clear border and the soldiers would do the patrols, here they're standing at individual posts, so it makes it a lot harder. And I can tell you on the other side, as a soldier, you know, patrol, you're with your friends, it's much easier, but when you're standing by yourself alone at a soldier post, it's very, very hard. And we do our best to be there for them, and the stories are unbelievable. And I think, you know, I have stories of guys who, you know, did their bar mitzvahs, who never put on tefillin before, and after discussions, they put on tefillin. We had an amazing story just recently of a soldier who was talking to one of our Chabad runners, and that interesting discussion about Judaism, and the Chabad runner himself was brought up in a not religious home, and he became religious. So the soldier mentioned, you know, I was born in the former Soviet Union, and the conversation kind of went on and on and on and developed, and the discussion came to, you know, how far each one of them were away from Judaism, and it came in the discussion that the soldier never had a Brit Milah.
Wow.
And that was almost a shocker, and they started learning actually the importance and the special meaning, and the soldier made a decision that he wants to have a Brit Milah, and not only have it, but have it with the first one who had the Brit Milah, together with Avraham. And at the Brit, we say the bracha, lachniso bebrito shel Avraham Avinu, to take him into the covenant of Abraham. So what better place to do it than with Abraham, than Me'arat HaMachpelah. But I really have to say, you know, there's just so many amazing stories, but for me, the really amazing thing is that I've had soldiers who came back to me later on, directly, indirectly, and they told me that they were going through very, very tough times, and they were contemplating hurting themselves, and the visits was what saved them and stopped them. So there's really, there's just so much here, and to be 24/7 with them, because your average Chabad house closes at some point. Okay, the rabbi can be till 12 o'clock at night, and then at 4 o'clock in the morning, but there's something. But here there's 24/7 work and work and work. So we are happy and fortunate to be the emissaries of Jews around the world, to be, as I say, the funnel to show the love and support that people from around the world show, and we're just the delivery, the people who are able to bring that to the actual soldiers.
Wow, that's amazing. So now we're going to watch a video about some work at the Chabad. Can you tell us more about what we're going to watch?
So this clip was actually produced by Israeli Army Radio a few months ago about Rabbi Itzik. Anybody who's been through Hebron knows Rabbi Itzik. He's the director of soldier activities here. So, if y'all can take away the video.
הכינוי שהצבא מכנה אותי זה שמחת חברון. הרבי מלובביץ' אמר שבאיזשהו מקום לחיילים הם יותר גבוהים ממיני ישיבות, ולמה? הם מוסרים את הנפש בפועל. כל רגע ורגע, כל שנייה ושנייה, כפר עליך, בוא תתן לי חיבוק, אני לא בא אליך. לא, תבוא לתת לי חיבוק. כפר עליך עיניים שלו. אני אוהב אותך. שמי איציק ניימרק, הבן הגדול שלי זה נוסקה, שהתפרסם בסרטון של מי משוגע, יפה משוגע, ואני אוהב את השליחות שלי פה בחברון.
על הברכיים!
אתה רוצה ללכת לצבא שתהיה גדול?
אם בעזרת השם המשיח יבוא, אז אני אשב בסביבה ואלמד תורה, ואם בעזרת השם חס וחלילה הוא לא יבוא, אז אני אהיה לא בגבעתי, רק בצמחני.
תגיד לה, מה אתה אוהב להגיד לחיילים?
אז מתי כמה דקות לשים שלום?
כל היום שלי הוא מופנה לדבר אחד, לנתינה. החיילים קוראים לנו רץ חב"ד. רץ חב"ד זה נהפך למותג, להסתובב מעמדה לעמדה, לשבת עם החייל, לדבר איתו. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. כל המתנדבים שנמצאים פה, הם כולם מגיעים מארצות הברית. הם מגיעים בהתנדבות מלאה. איש היפה, יותר למעלה, כמו קינג ג'ון און. אין תמונה אחת מעליו. חבר'ה, בואו. הלו"ז עכשיו זה שאנחנו מסתובבים עם ארצי חב"ד בין כל העמדות. אני עדיף להביא עכשיו פחיות קולה, קרות ככה מזיעות. תראו מצדיע.
ארצי חב"ד זה כמו מלאכים מן השמיים.
מצדיעים לך הרבה?
לצערי כן. כי מי אני שיצדיעו לי? אני אדם פשוט. כשמגיע לפה גולני, אז זה לא חוכמה שיהיה פה חיבור אוטומטי בינינו לבין גולני. הדבר האמיתי, שנחל 50 מגיע לפה. שנחל 50 מגיע לפה, הרי יש שם בני גרעין, השומר הצעיר. לא רק שהם לא התחנכו כמו שאני התחנכתי בענייני דת, הם גם התחנכו על דעות עלינו. כשאנחנו מגיעים לעמדות, בהתחלה הרבה מסרבים. אחרי יומיים, 3, הוא חוטף פה את העבודה הקשה של העיר. אתה עם חתולה תדבר. אנחנו לא מדברים על פוליטיקה בשום פנים ואופן. אנחנו לא מדברים על שילוב בנות בצה"ל. כל דבר שהוא רגיש בחברה הישראלית, אנחנו לא מדברים עליו. מה שלומך? ברוך השם כפרה. שנייה, יש לך בידוק, אני לא רוצה להפריע לך. את רואה? אנחנו עומדים בצד, לא מפריעים לחייל. ברוך השם כפרה עליך.
איזה בית, אולי היה תורה. איזה חפלה הרמת.
היה ערב קריוקי אתמול, ונכנסתי לשיר. את רואה את האהבה שיש לחיילים, זה לא משהו רגיל. צה"ל לא הכיר את זה, אתה יודע? צה"ל לא מכיר את זה.
Hey, I'm Laser from Brooklyn. I have the privilege of volunteering here for Chabad Hebron. One of the unique things we do here are nightly coffee rounds to the soldiers, greeting them with a hot coffee and a warm smile. Hebron is where it all started. Abram and Sarah are buried here, David started his kingdom here, and in the merit of these brave soldiers, we have the ability to visit here freely and safely. And it is my honor to give back to them, especially at 3 a.m. on a cold night.
הניגון הבא נקרא ניגון לשבת ויום טוב. The next ניגון, the best Shabbos and Yom Tov ניגון. We learned it together אצלנו בבית כנסת חב"ד. ניגון לשבת ויום טוב. da 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 da, ya da 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 da, digga da, ya da 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 da, digga da 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 da, digga da 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 da, ha ya ya da 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 da, da 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 ya da, ha ya ba da 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 ya da, ha ya ba 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 ba, ya ba 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 ba. Da 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 da, digga da 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 da, hey, Freda. Da 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 ya da, da 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 ya da, ah ya da 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 ha, ya da 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 ha, ya da 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 ya da, da 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 da, ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da, ay ya 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 da da. Da 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 da, ah da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, pam pam.
Chaim Chaim. Okay, just before we go on to the new, to the next exciting theme here in our journey tonight, let's kind of wrap up what we saw before about the work with the soldiers. Really, there's all over the world. There's so many special shluchim of the Rebbe, but I think that anybody that comes and visits us in Hebron, Chabad of Hebron, Itzik is something else.
Absolutely.
This kid came, I first met him, Batsheva and I, we moved to Hebron on Shlichus in 2002. He rolled in 2004 as a chubby bacher and 16-year-old, and we've been together ever since. And it's amazing the love that there's so many thousands and thousands of Israeli civilians all around the world today that when you say Itzik, Chabad, Hebron, it's unbelievable. I'll just share with you, I have to find an opportunity to brag. Our oldest son, Menachem Mendel, Manny's a officer in the Tzanchanim, in the paratroopers, Lieutenant Manny. I'll give him a shout out. I think he's watching us now. So he always, he's already 2 years in the army, said how every single step of the way, whenever he met a higher commander, he would just say, I'm from Hebron, and they would say, you're connected. Do you know that family that hosts all the soldiers? You know Itzik, that? And just how it's like a term already in the army. So, L'chaim, Rav Itzik.
L'chaim. Rabbi Danny, this week, I was listening to a Farbrengen of the Rebbe, and it's Motzei Chayei Sarah Tafshin Lametet. And the Rebbe speaks about Hebron there. And I know every time, the Rebbe is going to speak about Hebron in those years, you could feel already the volume and the excitement and the התרגשות, the feelings the Rebbe has for Hebron. And he's speaking about different things that are happening here and about how Jewish control should be stronger. And he's really expressing, how should I say it, frustration that there is not more Jewish presence here. And I'm listening to it, and I have to say, of course, I'm hearing what the Rebbe is saying, and and the Rebbe is screaming about something, you feel it inside, and it's so upsetting. And we all know about the upsetting things, but I can't help but thinking that so much has been done here since the Rebbe spoke about it. That at the time that he spoke about it, I don't know how many people heard it and decided to do something, but today we have so many Jews connected to this place, We have so many, the Jewish community of Hebron built over here so much, they get so much credit, and Chabad of Hebron. So really, although we have a long way to go till we reach the goals that we all want, but we can't just not pay attention to how much has been done and give a big yasher koach. And in that regard, I want to mention here very special and choshev Jew, Baruch Nachshon.
Yeah,
the first shliach of the Rebbe, Baruch v'Sara Nachshon, שיהיו בריאים. I want to give a l'chaim and refuah shleima to Baruch. Rafael Baruch ben Leah. שיהיה לו רפואה שלמה. כל הברכות, לחיים, לחיים. And just to give a big credit to all the people who work here all year long from the community, from Chabad House, and actually make this place so amazing that we could sit here 4 o'clock in the morning and have this broadcast, among many, many other things. So, l'chaim for that. That's a huge achievement.
I want to take that opportunity just to mention, thank God we're here, 7 shluchim working together, 8 actually. And, there's some situations where when you have people working together and everybody's fighting to be on the front stage, here by us, everybody's fighting to be, I guess I have the, biggest ego. I'm in there on the front stage. But I just want to mention, first of all, Baruch Nachshon's son-in-law, Rav Victor Atiyah, that I remember when I called him, we were then, Batsheva and I and our 2 little children, we were in downtown Chicago. And, I told him I have this idea, maybe coming to Hebron. And, instead of starting to get into issues, listen, you have this, that. I said, what do you mean? Wow, you're going to be in Hebron and expand the whole shlichut. And he just opened the door here. And it's amazing how his son, Yoni, his oldest son, is today one of our shluchim here in charge of Me'arat HaMachpelah, Yoni Atiyah. And we have Rav Rafael Brod that's running the Bet Chabad in Kiryat Arba that just opened the 3rd year. Right? Yeah, it was amazing. 72 girls in a school that just started 2 years ago with 6 girls. And of course, Rav Yosef Nachshon, that does so much in all the hills surrounding and the communities and bases surrounding Hebron. And Rabbi Menachem Porter that runs the Kollel by Menucha Racha V'Kitzur. A very, very good staff. So I guess we'll introduce the next part. We're going to, if we would pick up now and walk, maybe we should after all this calories over here, and walk up to the ancient part of Hebron, that when people would come here from the days of Avraham Avinu, David HaMelech, where the Jews live, where people lived, is all the way on top of the hill in what's known to be as Tel Romeda or Admot Ishai, the burial spot of Kever Ishai, the father of David HaMelech, and Ruth HaMoaviyah is there. And there was recently, not so long ago, there's excavations that were done there, and what they found there, if this location, instead of what they found, if they would have found it, let's say in Chulon or Tel Aviv, and not, this would be after the Kotel, the second visited site. But we live in Hebron, in the middle of the whole Middle Eastern chalent. So I want to ask again Reb Mordechai Hellinger we're going to join him now as he goes to visit the ancient part of Hebron, connecting it to a very, very special individual that also lives there today.
We are standing at the entrance to the ancient city of Hebron. We are on the archaeological site of Tel Hebron, Tel Romeda. And right behind me here, we have the stairs that led up to the entrance of the ancient city to go through the wall. As we can see, the nice thick wall behind me right here. And it is right here that our father Abraham, came to go into the city to meet the elders at the gates to discuss the purchasing of the field of Machpelah down in the valley below. We are now inside the ancient city of Hebron. This amazing archaeological site has findings from the times before Avraham Avinu to the times of Joshua, Yeshua ben Nun, the first Jews that come into the land of Israel as a nation after we were in Egypt. And from there we move along to King David. King David starts his kingdom here in Hebron before he moves to Jerusalem. And from there, throughout the times of the first temple, the first Beit HaMikdash, the second temple, the second Beit HaMikdash. But I think the most amazing thing that we found over here was the handle of a jug that was used to collect taxes. It had a stamp on it from the tax collector that said, La Melech, to the king. And then underneath, the name of the place where the taxes were collected being Hebron. Imagine digging in the basement, in your basement, in 2,600 years and finding your tax returns. That's the best evidence that you've been here. And I think when you dig here and you find Hebron written in Hebrew from 2,600 years ago, shows a very strong, amazing, indisputable connection to our city of Hebron. But what's amazing about Hebron, it's not just past, it's also present and future. Let's go visit one of the families that live here in the backyard of the ancient city of Hebron. Hey, shalom, shalom. Come on in.
Come in. Well, we came here close to 37 years ago. Moshe Arens, in the last day of his day in his office, told us you could go and build a neighborhood here, but you have 24 hours to do it because Yitzhak Rabin is coming into office in 24 hours. We ran very fast. We took down broken down trailers. We had a trailers that didn't have a floor. We went on, on the sand. We came here, 7 families, and an hour after Rabin became the Minister of Defense, he froze the neighborhood. We didn't have water, sewer system, electricity for half a year. At nights, we used to sneak and start to fix up these systems. Only after half a year, my wife made laundry because she had water and electricity together. But we were the happiest Jews in the world. The happiest Jews, believe me, to live where our forefathers lived, to live in the same place that David HaMelech had his palace, to live where Abraham sat within the throne. The whole story of Sefer Bereshit was written here, right here. We had the privilege to come here. Who needs electricity? Who needs water? We had everything we need. When we started Shabbat Chayei Sarah, I told everybody it's going to be like Meron, like Uman. And thank God today, so many people want to come here. That's amazing. Chayei Sarah actually started in this trailer. It was a lot smaller, so we had tables all around the neighborhood. The first Shabbat, 26 years ago, we had about 150 guests. Second Shabbat, we had already 300. The third Shabbat, we had already 300 here and 300 in Kiryat Arba, the yeshiva there. And after the fourth Shabbat, when we had already 400 people, and we had the shifts, 11 o'clock shifts, 12 o'clock shifts. Thank God there's the Chabad people, they come at 2 o'clock, so you have like time for everybody. And we decided we're passing down to next to Me'arat HaMachpelah. And not so many people had a dream and fulfilled the dream. I want to pray that next year, everybody that sees us now will have the privilege to live in Eretz Israel, to come to Chayei Sarah, and we'll have so many houses in Hebron that we'll have at least a trailer to every Jew that comes to visit us. 2,000 years, Jews, what did he dream? What the Jews prayed for 2,000 years? ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון, ברחמים, לשנה הבאה בירושלים, בחברון. That's what Jews prayed. We have it. that you could have it. Jews go, it's like someone that buys the lottery ticket for 100 years. When he wins, he doesn't go to take the money. We won the lottery. We are the generation that have the privilege to breathe this holy air, the same air that Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov air, the tribes, Caleb and Ephraim, Otniel ben Knas. We're here. The Rebbe says Mashiach will come first to Hebron to wake up the Avot. So if you want to see Mashiach, be the first one not to see Mashiach on television. You have to come fast to Eretz Yisrael. It's happening.
L'chaim, we're back here live from Me'arat HaMachpelah. L'chaim. So, one of the most famous teachings of the Rebbe about Hebron, what we read in Parashat HaShavua, when Avraham Avinu comes to purchase the Me'arah, not only does he want to pay for it, he doesn't want to take it as a gift, but he wants to pay bekesef maleh.
Right. I think is the greatest, the first Jew in the world. He should have been the greatest businessman. Offered it for free.
He didn't do so, right? He didn't take it for free. He paid bekesef maleh. And there are two reasons for it. The first reason is simple. Avraham Avinu doesn't want to have anyone else to have any connection to this place except for us, and that's why he pays it, right? To be the sole owner. No one else owns it, just Avraham Avinu. That's the first lesson. But the Rebbe adds something else, that really we should, even things that we could get as a gift, we should earn them in our own way. This is like a spiritual lesson we take from this Torah portion, that even though Hashem gives us the gift, Eretz Yisrael is ours, Hebron is ours, Torah is ours, but at the same time Hashem wants us to be partners. He doesn't want us just to get it as a gift, but to buy it bekesef maleh. And I think about it all the time, Danny, when I think about what's going on here with all the partners and all the donors and all the people, that really, it could have been just a gift from Hashem, but by doing it this way, we all could have a share in what's going on with Chabad of Hebron.
It's, obviously I'm not objective. This is part of my job, but the first fundraising letter or appeal of Chabad of Hebron was was composed by the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Dov Ber, the Mittler Rebbe, where he writes to the Hasidim in Russia, Al ken mila Hashem elai, whoever is part of God's team should not spare his wealth, and he should give funds to strengthen the stronghold of our Hasidim in Hebron. And so, those days it meant sending somebody on a boat for 2 weeks to go and fundraise. Today, we get on a plane, but we make it even easier. Everybody watching this show right now, there's a button there to click donate, and everybody could be a partner. The Mittler Rebbe speaks about what a great merit it is for everybody to acquire 4 cubic feet, Daled Amot, in Hebron. And the way to acquire so is to take part in the Rebbe's operation here. So, that's our plug. Problems is not a fundraiser, but, obviously we want to give people the opportunity for this amazing mitzvah of tzedakah here in Hebron on Erev Shabbat Chayei Sarah. So don't hold back, take the opportunity. Also, we year-round, there's a service that, especially now, you could send in names, chabadhebron.com /prayer. Send in your names. We mentioned them right here at the opening of Gan Eden. Petach Gan Eden, as Me'arat HaMachpelah is nicknamed in so many places in the Sfarim HaKadoshim.
Great. So everybody, please send your name. We'll mention you here on Shabbat. And now we're privileged to have a special bracha, special blessing for this Shabbat. We are honored to have the Prime Minister of Israel honor us with a few words of blessing. Let's hear Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu.
אחיי ואחיותיי מיישבי חברון וקריית ארבע, שבת חיי שרה היא מנוף מרכזי לחיזוק תודעת חברון בציבור הרחב. אבל השנה, בשל הנחיות הקורונה, לא יגיעו לחברון המוני המבקרים שפוקדים את העיר בזמנים רגילים. אבל החיבור העוצמתי שלנו לחברון, חיבור שנמשך כבר אלפי שנים, יורגש היטב בלבבות. מערת המכפלה היא אות ועדות לעומק שורשנו בארץ ישראל. אברהם אבינו רכש אותה בכסף מלא. האבות והאימהות נקברו בה. דוד המלך יסד סביבה את מלכותו, עוד לפני שמלך בירושלים. בכל הדורות ביקשו יהודים להגיע לחברון כדי לשאוב כוח מראשוני האומה. גם תחת שלטון זר הם לא ויתרו. הם עברו מרחקים, נדדו בדרכים מסוכנות, התרפקו בדמע על האבנים העתיקות. לפני כשנה ביקרתי במערת המכפלה. ציינו שם 90 שנה לפרעות תרפ"ט. הטבח שבוצע אז ביהודי חברון היה נורא. עשרות הרוגים ועשרות פצועים שהותקפו באכזריות, ואני חייב לציין, כמה משכניהם הערבים נחלצו להציל חיים, אבל רבים נטבחו. אבל גם הפעם, אחרי הטבח הנורא, רוחנו לא נפלה. חיכינו לחזור לחברון, חיכינו לבנות אותה מחדש. ועשינו זאת בעקבות הניצחון הגדול במלחמת ששת הימים. עיר האבות שוקמה בידי הבנים. השכונות היהודיות שוב הומות אדם. מערת המכפלה פתוחה. הכרזנו עליה כאתר מורשת לאומי, ואנו פועלים להנגיש אותה לכל אדם. ידידיי אנשי חברון, ידידותיי נשות חברון, אני מחזק את ידיכם בהחזרת העטרה ליושנה. חזקו ואמצו ושבת שלום.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Maybe translate a little bit.
I'll give a little synopsis. I don't want to say that Bibi is the first Prime Minister of Israel who visited Ma'arat HaMachpelah while in office.
Yeah.
That was a year ago, and he mentioned that visit. And he gave us a little bit of a review of Jewish history, biblical history, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, David HaMelech, who reigned in Hebron 7 years before he became the king of Israel. And he spoke about how Jews throughout the generations always came here to daven, and this happened here in 1929, and other times Jews always held very fast to Hebron, and we will always be here and build Hebron. That was a general synopsis, and of course we are encouraging the Prime Minister, the government, whoever is in charge, to do the utmost they can, and more than that, to build and allow more and more Yidden, more and more Jews to come here to Hebron. L'chaim for that. And we're moving to the next topic, and I want to say that in the Sichos, the Rebbe speaks about the idea, which is a simple idea in the parasha, but the Rebbe highlights it, that actually it's in the merit of Sarah, it's in the merit of Jewish women and Jewish women that Avram actually purchased the first piece of land in Israel. He purchased it obviously for Sarah, but it's not just by coincidence, because it's the power of the Jewish women, and we see this throughout the Torah in several places. The power of Jewish women have to actually conquer, to actually settle the Holy Land. So we want to speak about, we saved the best for last, right?
Yeah.
We want to speak about what's going on here with the Shluchas, Mrs. Cohen,
Okay,
and
yes,
the,
like
and
you
the
said,
soldiers.
we saved the best for last. So we're going to now visit a little bit with Batsheva Cohen, you know.
one and only.
My dear partner that runs the Titus ship in Judea. And, you know, I was speaking with Baruch Marzel just the other day, and Joe, going back a little bit, and how we remembered how when he brought up the idea of us joining already the families, Nachshon and Natia, that were in Kiryat Arba, but to come and live in Hebron, and explaining to us what the amount of work here. He said, you know, you're a Chabad Shaliach, you were 3 years in a combat unit, you have to be with the Chayalim, and he got us, you know, interested. And I remember, discussing with, I told Baruch, listen, you got me convinced, but there's two issues. I said, one, you know more than me that there's nowhere for us to live. There's only, I just want to mention this, there's 75 families living in Hebron, not because there's not enough Meshuganas that want to join here. There's a long waiting list, but there's, serious restrictions on Jewish development. And so that's one. And I said, second of all, I don't know, my wife, Batsheva, how am I going to get her to come to Hebron? So he tells me, Danny, I can't help you with your wife. You're on your own with that. But if you convince her, I'll take care of a place. I'll find you a place to live. And, Batsheva tells to this day that the only reason she agreed is that she knew that there's no chance in the world he's going to find us a place to be. She says, why start a fight for nothing? She said yes, and the rest is history. And obviously, in my non-objective eye, there's a lot of shluchim here, and there's a lot of, Baruch Hashem, we have 8 bochrim usually with us that go around and do the work, but there's one Batsheva that really, in the eyes of, there's, like I said before, about Itzik, there's thousands and thousands of former female soldiers that are around Israel, existing soldiers that for them, Batsheva is their mother, and so many thousands of chayalim. We know that an army walks on his stomach, and many of, I guess, the people watching us and people that are connected to us have joined us for our Shabbat meal. And I'm telling you, the soldiers would have been appreciative if we would have a regular meal.
Just a little cookie and some drinks.
It's not like we're shluchim in Thailand or India. There's like 6 glad kosher caterers in the area, and they're good. If we would have a catering, they would be thankful. But no, Batsheva, Mamash, already for 18 years, anything that's served is made by her besides the Coca-Cola, and that's, we're getting there. Everything, 3-course.
Everything homemade.
Meat, fish, Mamash, to give
Not
them
just
the feeling.
homemade, but delicious.
Ken. And begashmiut v'uchaniut, that every soldier, she says that they have to feel at home, like they're by their ima, and which they truly are by their imaot. So let's take a visit in Batsheva's kitchen.
Feeding 80 hungry soldiers is not an easy task. There's nothing that I like more than just hosting and hosting. The more they come, the happier the table is. Now with the whole COVID-19 situation, the soldiers, and I know it personally because of my oldest son, who's also is now an officer in the IDF, there are a lot of restrictions for the soldiers themselves. Many times they're not allowed to come back home. Many times they were quarantined in their army bases. And it's very hard for them. It's very challenging. And you're here and you're trying to make them happy. How can we make them happy? So they started making Shabbos challahs, and just going Friday, literally an hour, 2 hours before Shabbos gets in, to give them warm, fresh challahs, to lift up their spirit. I think besides the chicken soup, there's nothing that touches them more than a fresh home challah. So this past Friday, we finished doing a whole huge load of challahs, and we decided to give it in a few army bases. I go into one of the biggest army base in the area, and I see a girl. She does not look happy, and I stop by her and I see the tears still rolling down her eyes. And I stop and I say, "How are you? I know this girl. I give her Shabbos candles every week." And she said, in this sad face, "I haven't stopped crying since I came back to base." So I said, "Oops, I have something just for you." I stopped the car, I opened the door, and I gave her 2 fresh homemade challahs that are still warm from the oven. She touches it, she says, "It's warm, it's straight from the oven." She says, it's the first thing that the fresh home challah is the best thing for me. So when I can come and uplift these soldiers in this challenging times, I'm willing to do much more than that.
Oh, but there's no more to say, you know.
Wow. This is amazing. I want to say on a personal note, but I think I'm speaking for a lot of people here. I want to thank Rabbi Danny, because, you know, I would never have the connection that I have to Hebron without Rabbi Danny and Batsheva. And just like in many other places in the world, it's only when you know the people who live there, who take you in, and you get familiar with the place. So just like I feel so privileged to know you, all the times that you invite me here, I know that I'm speaking for hundreds and thousands of Jews around the world that you host here. It's a special feeling to be here. We know every year at this time there are about 40,000 Jews here, and we're going to be like, I don't know, 400 maybe, 400 shekels for the Me'ara. So we feel a big responsibility here.
This Shabbat
to say l'chaim for everybody, and to really do it for all. I want to thank you for joining us at your Shabbos table, wherever you are. Talk about Hebron, say l'chaim for Hebron. You know, we'll talk about our right to Hebron, and we'll bring Shabbat Chayei Sarah to everybody's living room this year. And Be'ezrat Hashem, very, very soon, we're all going to come back here to build the place together with David HaMelech. L'chaim. Thank you, Chabad of Hebron, for hosting us. L'chaim.
So before I ask Mordechai and the Boimel Tish, that really they get a great thank you for uplifting us this evening. I want to say a few thank yous. First of all, thank you. You know, I think that if when I signed up for this job of shlichus, if I was told back then, 2002, that 10 years from now, 8 years from now, 70-80% of your job is going to be managing and mainly fundraising, I probably would have chosen a different profession. But the Rebbe gave every shaliach that part of his shlichut is to give every Jew the merit to the mitzvah of connecting to this work. So I really want to thank. There's so many. I'm not going to start mentioning names, but so many fellow Lubavitchers, so many fellow Jews around the world, especially in the United States, but from Australia, Canada, all over, that mamash are supporters. But it's not just about, okay, they send in a check and they're generous, but really, really treat my family as their own and see this shlichus as their own. And actually, many of them don't wait for me to come and ask. They'll push. Why don't you take another thing? Why don't you do this and push forward? So, guys, really, from the deepest part of my heart, thank you. I want to thank Yankee Asher, the legendary film editor, that for the past, I think over the decade, has the privilege, anybody that watches a video of the Rebbe from GEM, that also to thank them, the videos we saw tonight, produced by them, but you see editor Yankee Asher. So Yankee worked so hard on helping us give this Hebron experience to all of you. So Yankee L'chaim, thank you. I want to thank Ashi Horvitz, my fellow neighbor here in Hebron. That is just the most amazing producer. I mean, who else could on a 2.5 week notice make that amazing operation of Shabbat Chayei Sarah every year? Every event that happens here from the field of Machpelah, we know every Chol HaMoed, the concerts, Avram Feed, Mordechai Ben David, basically bringing Hebron spirit to the world. That's his job. And so I just want to thank him. Anybody's looking for a producer for an event in Israel, you could email me. And thank you, Rabbi Mordechai, that put in the past week. And thank you, Nechamadina Hellinger, for allowing us to, Mordechai, to stay up all night. And, from downtown Hebron, from the field of Machpelah, we're going to sign off. But, Hasidim never say goodbye. We know that one of the first stops of Mashiach, when it's finally revealed, is to come to Hebron, to the term that our fathers and mothers that dwell here are termed in the Zohar and the Kabbalah is Yeshenei Hebron. They're the slumberers of Hebron. They're just sleeping a little bit. We need to wake them up. So Bezrat Hashem, Mashiach comes, wakes up our fathers and mothers right now before Shabbat Chayei Sarah, and together with Kol Am Yisrael, and the Rebbe leading us, we're going to Bet HaMikdash. L'chaim, l'chaim. Yalla, Mordechai.
L'chaim, l'chaim. Good Shabbos, everybody. L'chaim.
לחיים וברוכה. Oye, mata, oy gavateman, oy linshe afutzu, meine zerachiyetza, aha, oh, hey, mata. שיפוץ דחתיתה לה 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 תודה רבה לכולם, שבת שלום. שבת שלום. נגמר חבר'ה? אשי ביקש עוד שיר אחד. השאלה אם יש לנו 3 דקות או... יש? אוקיי. זה שיר הרחמנו ישפיע עלינו, שפע קדושה וטהרה. דה דה דה, יש ליין אחד? אתה מכיר את זה? אוקיי. למינו. ויש לנו ני פה למינו? תן בני. רבותיי, לפני סיום, אני רוצה להודות, אתם יודעים, יש פה מיליוני אנשים. אני רוצה להודות לכל החבר'ה של הסאונד והתאורה וההגברה. הלוואי שאני אזכה לעבוד איתכם הרבה. אתם מדהימים. גוואלד. כמובן, הצילום, כל החבר'ה, כולם פה. כל מי שאיתנו, זה לא הרבה. אבל ממש, כל הכבוד. תודה רבה לכם. ממש. איזה סאונד. רק התחלנו את הערב. אז השיר הבא נקרא רחמנו ישפיע עלינו. בעזרת השם הרחמנו ישפיע על דני ועל אשי ועל כל היושבים פה ועל כל עם ישראל. בסדר? בלי דיבורים, רק אני מכין את הנגנים, זה ב-AM, צריך לעבור סולם, וזה מתחיל בליין טה-דה-דה, אוקיי? אתה מכיר? אז אתה מכיר. אז תגביה טיפה את הקנון, הוא יודע את הליין טוב, אבל נתחיל דווקא עם תקסים של הני, טה-דה-דה-דה-דה-דה-דה. רגע, אבל 3, 4, ו... שוהם על החליל. הרחמנו ישפיע עלינו, שפע קדושה וטהרה, ישיבת דוש פיזיני לעין קדישים. הרחמנו ישפיע עלינו, שפע קדושה וטהרה, ישיבת דוש פיזיני לעין קדישים. אברהם ויצחק ויעקב, משה אהרון יוסף ודוד, זכותם מגן מצינה עלינו, זכותם מגן מצינה עלינו, לכבוד האבות הקדושים אברהם ויצחק ויעקב, משה אהרון יוסף ודוד המלך, זכותם מגן מצינה עלינו, זכותם תהא מגן מצינה עלינו. רחמנו ישפיע עלינו, שפע קדושה וטהרה, משיבת אושפיזין עילאית קדישין. רחמנו ישפיע עלינו, שפע קדושה וטהרה, משיבת אושפיזין עילאית קדישין. אברהם ויצחק ויעקב, משה אהרון יוסף ודוד, זכותם מגן מצינה עלינו, זכותם מגן מצינה עלינו. תצטרפו אלינו חברים. Da 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 da. זכותם תהא מגן נצינה עלינו, זכותם תהא מגן וצנעה עלינו.